Hello, everyone, and welcome to my senior TED Talk. My name is Zander, and I'm here today to address the question of how do companies use color psychology to increase the consumption of their product. Everyone in here consumes, correct? Whether that be actual food consumption or the consumption of products. Well, have you ever wondered why you consume and purchase the things that you do? Well, I can tell you that color actually plays a huge role in influencing you to purchase something. And 85% of consumers actually name color as the primary reason they end up purchasing the product. My thesis paper discusses the multiple reasons people are intrigued by certain colors, what emotional associations to color are, as well as how companies actually incorporate that into their product and logos. People can feel certain emotions towards a color depending on many things. For example, most boys will have a positive emotional association to blue, because as children we would always hear things like, oh, you're wearing blue, that's a guy's color. Oh, you're wearing pink, that's a girl's color. And society has also really just made it a norm that the color for boy babies is blue and the color for girl babies is pink. Think about gender reveals, there's never really any other colors. So it's basically embedded into us as children. Another large factor that can contribute to your color emotional associations is the religion or culture that you come from. Some cultures and religions have some colors that are considered sacred. So therefore, if you are from that religion or culture, you will most likely have a stronger emotional association to that color than someone outside of that religion or culture would have. See here that it's kind of hard to see, but in Christianity, purple is the color of royalty, fine materials, and a couple other things. But then if you go down and actually look at Buddhism, you'll notice that there is no meaning for the color purple. So therefore, it does not really play a role in that religion. So Christians would have a stronger emotional association to purple than Buddhists would. But some cultures have colors that they will not even consider a color. But then there are also people who just love a certain color, but do not really have a specific reason or experience as to why they love that color. Can you guys think about a color that you really like, but don't really have a specific reason as to why, besides the way it looks? So my topic was a little bit difficult to study, honestly, and I think that's because it is honestly quite a complex subject, and the way you perceive color can differ depending on many things. And research suggests that things like age, gender, past experiences with that color, etc., are some of the largest contributing factors that actually can affect the way you perceive a color. Since it is complex, it is quite interesting as well. And some of the most interesting things I learned while studying this are that color can completely change your mood. It can affect how appetizing food looks, as well as the way it tastes in some instances. And it can even influence the way you perceive the world as a whole. It was honestly harder to find studies on color psychology than I thought it was going to be. And I believe that is actually due to its complexity, and that color psychology can be more based around individuality, and it's not always a universal thing like it would be in a religion or culture. But just because I did not find those exact studies that I was really looking for does not exactly mean that, they're not out there or have not already been studied. I just wasn't looking in the right place. Color preference is also a large part of color psychology because it's very common for people to have a specific color preference or a specific favorite color. So companies can't really just focus on one small variety of colors like red, blue, and green. They must use because some people are either going to like them or dislike them. Not everyone is going to consume them. So they have to use a larger variety of colors to actually end up satisfying consumer preference. And personally, I have color preferences, my favorites being white and black, and not only does that show in the clothes I buy and wear, but it shows in a lot of my clothes. And almost everything in my room is either white or black, and here's just a picture of my desk. And even everything in this picture is pretty much white or black. And there's definitely a large factor from my past that actually contributes to why I like those colors so much. And I believe that is because as a kid, I really loved, Harry Potter and Star Wars. And my favorite characters in those, I know you don't like Star Wars, and my favorite characters in those would always be in some sort of black armor or cape, suit, something like that. Think about like Professor Snape, Darth Vader, or Luke and Anakin. And I really just looked up and idolized these characters so much as a kid. So I feel that is one of the largest contributors to why I like black so much and actually have a personal, um, positive emotional association to it, whereas some people mostly have negative emotional associations to black. And I'm sure there are also others in here with colors like that too. And this really just showed me that past experiences actually do impact your personal color preference today. So enough about just color psychology. Let's get into how companies actually implicate that into their products and labels. To put it very simply, companies will use the most appealing colors and designs to their target audience to maximize their sales. When you see something with colors that pop out to you, you are way more likely to approach it than something with darker and less contrasting colors. And sorry, most people tend to have more positive emotional associations to lighter colors than they do with darker colors. But there are some brands who just target a specific audience, and most brands that do actually target one specific audience actually use they tend to use one main design or color. For example, this brand named Burberry has this main design which they use, which is a brownish plaid. And in 2020, they actually made 40% of their revenue from the Asia Pacific region, 30%, 37% from the Europe and Middle Eastern region, and the remaining 22% from the Americas. If they actually want to maximize their sales and gain more revenue from more countries, they have to use more designs and color that not just that main target audience will always like and consume. For example, McDonald's. McDonald's uses a very simple logo with very simple colors as well, but they do so on purpose. And it is because yellow and red are two very contrasting and vibrant colors compared to other colors. And like I said, people tend to have more positive associations with brighter colors. And most people actually have a positive emotional association to yellow because they think about the sun being yellow, so they tend to associate it with life and warmth. So it really just makes it easier for the consumer to approach something they feel more comfortable with. Because like if they kept their logo like it was back when they first started, not as many people would approach it because a black logo is kind of menacing, It's not as comfortable as a red and yellow. And most brands will actually use something called polarizing colors in their logos because it can catch the eye of the casual viewer just either walking or driving by in just a couple of seconds. Whereas if they were to use less polarizing colors like gray and black, it would not catch as many eyes simply because it's not as noticeable and less people feel less people feel less comfortable with darker colors. So moving on to my action project. My action project for this consisted of me creating shirts using answers from a Google form and some of my favorite designs. And the Google form kind of just had a couple of questions like what gender, what age, what's your favorite color out of these ones listed. And I did this as my action project mainly because I really wanted to test out color psychology and color in marketing for myself. And really my main mission for this project was to create a couple of shirts, attempt to sell them, and attempt to maximize sales when selling them by actually using the most popular color responses from my Google form. Basically trying to test color psychology in the way that I could. And the main lesson I really wanted to end up taking away from this project was actually how to market with color strategically, because I do want to have a clothing brand of my own in the future. So regarding my impact for this project, I started by exhibiting my shirts by setting up a table and a sign in the Animus parking lot where Jim Mooney does her lunch and breakfast stuff. I then let people come and look at them and decide if they want to purchase it. Overall, the exhibition was quite successful because I sold 4 out of the 6 of my shirts, which was honestly more than I was expecting to. And to actually impact a larger audience than just myself with this project, I ended up using the funds I got from selling my shirts, which was $80, and I took it to my bank and I wrote a check for the For the Children Foundation located in town. It is basically just a nonprofit organization for kids who have been removed from their homes due to things like abuse or neglect, and it also helps kids in custody cases. And I mainly chose this organization in particular because kids just, they don't have a choice as to where they're born into or what home situation they have or if they have bad parents or not. So I kind of just wanted to help as much as I could, even if it was a small donation. But Ashley Hine, who I believe actually used to work here, she told me that my donation would actually allow up to 3 families to come in and use their services at the building. And here's just a picture of us holding that check to Zander. And I can't lie, it honestly put a pretty decent smile on my face when she told me that my donation could help out that much, because I wasn't expecting only $80 to really help that much. I was expecting it to just go straight to the organization or something. But sadly, I don't have the specific evidence to actually show me impacting them. I just have these couple of pictures with Ashley. In reflection of this year, the senior project was definitely difficult at some times, but it was honestly more of a impactful experience for me for a number of reasons. But the main lesson I feel like really ended up taking away from this project is that hard work genuinely pays off if you put it in. Like an example of this is when I turned my original thesis in, I got a pretty terrible grade on it. But then I spent hours of time revising it, even I'd be working on it while I was at my friend's house, which is not something I like to do. And I still thought it, wasn't just really going to be good enough to actually pass. But then I ended up actually turning it in, and I got a B on it. And that showed me that my hard work genuinely did pay off, and it will pay off as long as you actually put the work in. And I honestly do feel like I met most, if not all of my goals for this project. But there are a couple of things that I wish could have gone differently. Like I really wish I actually could have sold all of my shirts and even made more to actually just give a larger donation to the organization. And I really wish I had the money at the time to actually make my shirts more professional, because they weren't the best, and if they were more professional, more people would enjoy them and want to consume them. And really, my main hope coming out of this project is that my money actually does end up helping a kid at least, even if it's not 3 families, at least 1 kid would make me happy just to know I actually impacted someone with this project. And overall, I actually had a really fun and interesting experience with my project and my topic, because I just never thought color could really be so impactful to humans and influence us to feel certain ways, buy certain things, and I just never thought it could be so impactful to the human brain itself. And it was also just really cool being able to have the freedom to do whatever we wanted with this project, because I know for a fact that there are not a lot of schools like that out there that just let their students do basically whatever they want for their final project of high school. So I thank you guys for giving us that freedom. It's actually very cool. And also, I really can't forget that it felt pretty nice to actually donate to an organization for the first time, and that I was able to do it, not only just donate to them, but doing it from a school project. It was just kind of a moment of clarity for me, I guess. So yeah, that is the end of my senior TED Talk. Thank you guys so much for coming and listening to it. Can I take the mic off?
Leave it on just in case.
Q&A.
Yeah, so let's jump into our question and answer period.